Good evening. This is D. Maybe we call myself today Determined D because I was determined to make something out of my life. The last segment that we had was in my book, Looking for a Place to Belong, was when I had met my mother after leaving me at the hospital, and she was taking me to live with her in Southern California, relieving my grandparents on a Greyhound bus in the middle of the night. I call this segment, Mama, Where Are You? So we get on the Greyhound bus. I was maybe 3 years old, and we take the bus to downtown LA, where this man picks us up. Very rough-looking man, bad complexion, but just very, I wouldn't even say manly because he was just very rough-looking. He was an oil rigger who worked off the coast of Long Beach. And so he was home part of the time he wasn't home. And my mother managed a bar in Baldwin Park. So some of the times when he wasn't home, then I would go with her and I would sleep on a little cot in the back room of the bar. And then when the bar closed, sometimes she would entertain her men friends, and I would drink the drinks, finish the drinks in the glasses. I didn't know any better. And then wash the glasses for her and stack them. And for years, I thought I crawled up on this little bowling machine and just went to sleep. But what I know now is I crawled up on the bowling machine and I actually passed out from all the drinks that I drank. Those were crazy times. Those were times, they were just crazy times. And there were times when the things that happened between going to live with her and the time that she disappeared were so, how would I put it? They were horrible to the extent that I quit speaking for about 6 years of my life because of the trauma. Some of her men friends would think that I was a play toy, and such. We just leave it there at this point. But Willie, her boyfriend, he had a temper, and they cursed and they fought and they drank and acted up and acted out. And I remember one Christmas, I was only with them for a couple years, but this particular Christmas, I remember it was Christmas Eve, and outside the trailer, we lived in a trailer, not in a double-wide mobile home or a modular. It was nice. It was a single-wide trailer, a trailer park. And I remember the carolers on Christmas Eve singing, "Silent night, holy night, all is calm." But all wasn't bright and all wasn't calm. Willie had gotten drunk, and he wanted to know where my mother was, and he made me call the bar and ask for her, and she wasn't there. And the more I called and she wasn't there, the madder he got and the more drunk he got. So it ended up that he took a pistol and had a bullet in the chamber, one bullet, and that he decided to play Russian roulette with that pistol, and decided to put the pistol in my rectum and pull the trigger as he was laughing and drinking and drunk out of his mind. And in between all of this, my mother came in, and of course they had a big fight, and that was the end of Willie. But we continued to live in that trailer for the next several months. And, you know, as a child, you think it's you. You don't realize that adults have problems and that you're not the cause of it, but you only know that you aren't getting the love, you're not getting the attention, you're not getting what you need, but you don't know exactly what you need, but you know you don't need the mess that's going on. And so I was with her in that environment, and one day she was at the trailer in the home, and she was cooking something, and I walked into the kitchen and she was mad. But she got mad at me quite often because, you see, I had a bedwetting problem. In fact, being honest with you, I actually wet the bed till I was about 14. There was such a emotional disconnect in my life. But I would wet the bed, and to punish me, she would set me out on the front steps so everybody would see me. That because I had wet the bed, she would put me in a diaper and set me out there, and that was my punishment. But this one day she got more irate than usual, and she said, you remember me so much of your father, and just actually got bizarre. And she went to pour hot grease on my head, and I ducked and it went on my back instead. There's a scar on my back about this big. And for most of my life, it might as well have been on my face, because I felt like I was so ugly nobody would ever want me and had nothing to offer. And so the result was I ended up in the hospital. And when I ended up in the hospital, I remember saying, I'll be good. I'll be good. Whatever they want me to do and act like, I'll be good. I'll be good. Because I felt like something worse than being burned would happen to me if I didn't be good. So most of my life, I've tried to be good. That whatever you want me to be, whatever you want me to do, whatever you want me to say, however you want me to act, let me figure it out, because something worse is going to happen to me if I don't act like you want me to act and do like you want me to do. So being in the hospital, and they took my mother away for a while, but I needed to live with a relative. So I went from the frying pan into the fire, actually, because my mother's mother, which name was Mary, we called her Grandma Mary, she lived in Compton. And I called Johnny, her boyfriend, live-in boyfriend, the first hippie in the world, because he had long hair, greasy and dirty. And I went to live with them. Now, Grandma Mary wore a muumuu. She's big, fat, greasy hair. The entrance to the garage came in one way, and the sliding glass door was over on this wall, and in the middle was an overstuffed chair where Grandma Mary sat and drank all day long. In fact, this is no exaggeration. Grandma Mary and Johnny, they had a swimming pool, but the pool had no water in it. The pool was overflowing with beer cans, literally overflowing with beer cans. They would just drink, and they would just open the door and throw the beer cans out into the pool area. And the same pretty much was in the garage area. You couldn't park a car in that garage. And we're not talking about clutter, we're talking about filth. And they would drink, and Grandma Mary would pass out. And then Johnny, who I was forced to call Grandpa Johnny at that time, decided that he would experiment with vegetables and me. So there would be carrots, cucumbers, whatever it was, and the abuse and the sexual abuse between him and between my mother's friends caused me to shut down completely. And I just quit speaking. And I was living outside of my body much of the time, watching what was happening. So after a short time, then I was allowed to go back and live with my mother, but we didn't live in the trailer anymore. We lived in the back room of the bar. And I had a little pallet on top of the beer kegs that I slept on. And I remember I would take my foot and I would trace my foot into those beer boxes that bottled beer came in, and I would take the cardboard from there and cut out, and I would put it in the bottom of my shoe, because my shoes had holes in the bottom. and that I didn't want the water to get through in that. And so I had very few clothes, but this is how I lived and where I lived, and I hadn't gone to school yet. Now, remember, my grandparents were classical Pentecostal, so I knew about God and I knew about Jesus from 2 years old. But not far from the bar was a housing area, and the pastor of the Baptist church happened to be there, but his son was really nasty, and he would crawl up on the concrete fence and lean over, and I'd be out in the parking lot, and he'd say, "Your mama's a hoe, your mama's a hoe." And of course I would cry, and that one day I went over to their house, and I knocked on the door, and I told his dad, I said, he's calling me a hoe. Well, being a good Baptist minister who they bust their kids into church, for the numbers, said if I wanted to go to Sunday school. So I went to Sunday school because nobody cared what I did anyway. And in the Sunday school, this teacher said to me, do you know that Jesus loves you? Do you know that God loves you? And that was the first time I had heard anybody say to me, loves you. And although I didn't understand what the meaning of love was, and it's taken me years to still try to comprehend it, and I'm still trying to comprehend it to an extent, I knew it was something that felt warm. I knew it was something that I wanted to experience. So she said, "Do you want Jesus to come into your heart?" And I did the little prayer, and she said, "Jesus is always with you no matter what." So having that experience really helped me during that time, because you see, there was a time when my mother locked me in the closet for, I say a weekend, but it could have been longer than that, and she gave me a little pot to pee in and stuff, and some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and stuff, and she and her friends went off to the lake for I don't know how long now. And they didn't know what to do with me, so rather than take me along, she just locked me in the closet so that I would be okay and nobody would harm me or something, I guess. So that experience was damaging to me at the same time, and it was during that time that, remember, I was born with the name Stephen. Remember, during that time, I had a little imaginary playmate, and she didn't have a name, but she would always say, because I would cry, and she would say, "Stevie, I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you, Stevie. You don't have to be afraid. I'm always with you." So now I'm beginning to think, in this time and age where I'm at now, I'm beginning to think that was the feminine side of me, the she side of me, trying to mother and take care of the other little kid side of me, because there was nobody taking care of the little side of that side of me. So I began to withdraw within myself, and it was during that time that one night my mother just simply disappeared in the middle of the night. And another lady came, and she took me to live with her and her family. And that went from bad to worse. So, Mama, where are you? Where were you during all this time? What was going on? The thoughts to me, why wasn't I good enough? Was I so bad that I had to be treated this way? This is just a little bit of this segment of the second chapter of my book, Mama, Where Are You?